Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to do something amazing. We are going to turn math from something you might dread into your own personal superpower. Seriously. So get ready because we're about to dive into some incredible brain hacks that'll make you feel like a mental calculation genius. You know that feeling, right? The bill comes to the table and everyone looks at you and your brain just freezes. We've all been there. People call it math anxiety, but honestly, it's not about being bad at math. It's just about not having the right tools in your toolkits, and today we are going to fix that. All right, first up, let's talk multiplication. I want you to forget about those slow, clunky methods you were forced to memorize in school. These tricks are all about speed, and yeah, they're going to make you look like a total math wizard to your friends. Now, the best part about this first trick is that you don't need a pen, you don't need paper, you don't even need your phone's calculator. All you need is what you've already got, your own two hands. This is a super physical, really memorable way to master the 9 times table. You ready to try this with me? Come on, do it for real. Hold up both of your hands, palms facing you. We're going to solve 9 times 4 together in literally seconds. Okay, so because we're multiplying by 4, I want you to count from your left pinky over to your fourth finger. That's going to be your left index finger. Now just bend that one finger down. Now, look at your hands. See the fingers to the left of that bent finger? Count them. There are 3, right? That's your tens digit. And now look at all the fingers to the right of the bent finger. You should see 6 fingers up over there. That's your ones digit. So what do you have? You have a 3 and a 6. The answer is 36. How cool is that? It works for any number 1 through 10 that you multiply by 9. Go on, pause, and try it with 9 times 7. I'll wait. Okay, next up is a super neat trick for squaring any 2-digit number that ends in a 5. So something like 35 squared. It looks intimidating, but it's actually so simple. You just take the first digit, in this case 3, and you multiply it by the very next number up, which is 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. Then all you do is tack on a 25 at the end, and there's your answer, 1225. Works like a charm every single time. You know, multiplying by 11 has this really elegant shortcut. Let's take a number like 34. First, you just imagine splitting the 2 digits apart, so you have a 3, a space, and a 4. Then, add those 2 digits together, so 3 plus 4 is 7. And you just pop that 7 right into the empty space. And boom, 374. It's that easy. Let's be honest. Why do more work than you have to? Multiplying a number by 5 can feel a little awkward in your head. Well, the trick is to realize that multiplying by 5 is really just the same thing as multiplying by 10, and then cutting it in half. So for 48 times 5, just do 48 times 10. That's easy, 4080. Now, what's half of 480? 240. So much faster for your brain to handle. Okay, let's shift gears a little. We've been talking about getting answers faster, which is great. But this next set of tricks is about something deeper. It's about developing what mathematicians call number sense, which is really just having a good gut feeling for how numbers work together. Have you ever looked at a big number and wondered if you could divide it by 3 without getting a messy remainder? Well, there's a super simple rule for that. You just add up all the single digits of the number. Let's test it out with, say, 741. What's 7 plus 4 plus 1? It's 12, and we all know that 12 is divisible by 3, right? Well, if the sum of the digits is divisible by 3, then the original big number is 2. So yes, 741 is divisible by 3. No calculator, no long division, no problem. So let's go back to that dreaded restaurant tip. Calculating 15% feels like a chore, but we can just break it down into baby steps. First, find 10%. That's the easiest one. Just move the decimal point 1 spot to the left, so 10% of 200 is 20. Now what's 5%? Well, 5 is just half of 10, right? So 5% is just half of your 10% answer. Half of 20 is 10. Now just add them together. 20 plus 10 is 30. There you go. Your 15% tip is $30. Now, this next one isn't so much a calculation trick as it is a whole new way of thinking. It's a huge mindset shift. Before you jump into a complicated problem, just take a second. Make a quick, rough estimate. This gives you a ballpark number to aim for, and trust me, it is the single best way to catch silly mistakes. Look at this. 198 times 52. Yikes. That's a lot to do in your head. But what if you just rounded the numbers? 198 is pretty close to 200, and 52 is pretty close to 50. What's 200 times 50? That's way easier. It's 10,000. So now you know that your final exact answer should be somewhere in that neighborhood. It's like having a built-in error checker for your brain.
All right, for our final section, we're going to dust off a few powerful rules you probably saw once in an algebra textbook and then immediately forgot about. But I'm telling you, they are surprisingly useful out here in the real world.
Remember this old thing? The difference of squares. It looks like complicated algebra, but the idea is simple. When you multiply a number plus something by that same number minus something, you just get the first number squared minus the second number squared. And the really cool part is how we can use this for mental math. Take a problem like 23 times 17. That seems hard, but wait, notice that 23 is just 20 plus 3, and 17 is just 20 minus 3. That fits our formula perfectly. So instead of doing that messy multiplication, we can just use our rule. What's 20 squared? 400. What's 3 squared? 9. The answer is just 400 minus 9, which is 391. See? That's how a boring algebra rule becomes an awesome calculation shortcut. Here's another one you probably learned and forgot: proportions. Basically, if you have two equal fractions or ratios, you can always cross-multiply to find a missing piece. This is the secret to solving all sorts of problems, from scaling a recipe up or down to figuring out distances on a map. It's a fundamental tool. Okay, and for our final trick, I want you to focus on this one single, beautiful magic number: 180. Burn it into your brain, because this number holds the key to every single triangle that has ever existed or will ever exist. That's the secret. It doesn't matter if the triangle is tiny or gigantic. It doesn't matter if it's long and skinny or perfectly balanced. The three angles on the inside will always, and I mean always, add up to exactly 180 degrees. So if you know two of the angles, you can always instantly figure out the third. So as we wrap all this up, what have we really been talking about? It's that math isn't supposed to be about pain and boring, repetitive calculations. The real takeaway here is that math is about seeing the patterns. It's about finding those clever shortcuts to work smarter, not harder. And that brings me to my final question for you. These tricks, they're not just for math. This whole mindset of looking for the elegant solution, finding the clever pattern, using the simple shortcut, you can apply that to pretty much anything you want to learn. So the question is, what will you unlock next? Thanks for tuning in.